as you sit here, right where you are. Already the mind and attention come under the power of grace, so that the attention is nicely being pulled inwardly into the heart of being. So no strain and no force. Grace is with you. Grace is acting upon your attention, your functioning, to harmonize and align themselves in the place of the heart. You're here. When our attention is not grasping or following the senses or the mind, you are naturally in your true state of formless awareness. It is like that. Now, if some movement arises in mind, do not be alarmed at that. Simply let it flow by itself, without your engagement. Whatever may appear on the screen of the mind and consciousness, it is happening by itself, out of the force of habit. These are nothing to be attending to. Rest in your own awareness. And there is no conflict. This is your time with God. When we are aware of the movements that may come as mind, or the natural energies that are flowing, the expression of the vital force, you need not be disturbed by that. You're behind as the natural and silent, detached weakness of all that may appear in the mind or in the body. This is nothing new. What is new or fresh is to be conscious of this. That which you are cannot be pulled about by the movements of the mind and the body. There's a stillness here, a natural stillness. There is not something trying to be still. It is already here. Be aware of this. We are not going to construct or to create any state at all. This time only for discovering and seeing the naturalness of what is timeless within yourself. So very good. As you're here, be reminded, you're not waiting. We're not being asked to wait for some event or some happening. So any happening, any movement should be of no concern to you. You're neither doing nor undoing. Simply you are. This silence which is being revealed. And now is such a perfect moment, because you're willing to rest and to be in that which is and is alone the natural and unchanging within yourself, our very being. Again, we are not going anywhere. I am not taking you on a journey. Simply you're here. Please don't try to imagine anything. Whatever you imagine will be some shape or some form. And none of these are permanent. They come and go, just like clouds float along in the infinite and unchanging sky, not waiting. Now, sometimes some little irritation might come in mind because it is used to expressing some activity and having your attention. You're not in resistance with mind. You're simply resting in yourself. And this is nothing new. What you discover, again, is that which alone is true and unchanging. And yet it is not stagnant, ever present, ever aware. It is not a duality. It is not even a function. But all the functions of the body-mind are expressed and are perceived in it. You're neither for nor against anything. Pay attention only to that natural state of being. It is already here. It is not hiding. Though it may appear to be hidden, it is only seemingly hidden by the play of distractedness that come as we go with thoughts and feelings and identity. But now, you're simply here. Look what it is to be so present but not expecting anything, not visualizing anything. This is the maturity of being, not developing something, not trying to fulfill some expectation. You're in the very core of your own self. And this peace that you are discovering and that you are, or you can say, is the very perfume, the sweet perfume of that which is. This peace does not come or go. This silence is ever present. Only when we are distracted by the senses or the mind do we feel somehow separated from this. But in reality, you are never separate. We are simply experiencing our imagination. This peace, all seekers of truth long for and seek this peace, this silence, this purity of presence. this place of complete rest, your natural state. Whatever appears to enter into this state or come out of it is merely movements from the mind, the imagined self. Now you can see there's no difference, such as your self and peace, they are one. Just like the fragrance of the flower and the flower are one. Yet you're more than fragrance. You're the very essence, the flower itself. I'm using a term that implies a shape and an object. You're no object. The self is not an object. It is beyond object, beyond even subject. All that you can perceive through the mind or the senses are the traffic of existence, comings and goings of the mind and body, watched in the ineffable, the unchanging. Be aware of this. Pay real attention to this, so that there's no delusion such as this fading away or losing contact with this. Such words could only be spoken from the imagined self. But you're on the other side, in which even the imaginary identity, seeking to be one with the self, is seen as a momentary appearance in the unchanging immensity of the self. Jesus knew, knows, and is this peace. All awakened beings are one with this peace, you may call, and the light that emanate from this peace. I don't want to use any word by itself, cannot convey that which is. They can only point to it. Now, my words can be direct with you. There's no place you must go to hear what I'm saying. Grasping this in its fullness, you are able to move in life in the most natural way, without pretentiousness, without awkwardness, flowing like water. Why? Because you are not the doer of actions, nor even the sense of being the thinker of thoughts will become distant, so to speak. They will not have the intensity and influence that they do when we imagine ourselves to be merely the person. The very person that we take so much to be the fact of our being becomes so momentary, ephemeral, changeful in the absolute stillness of yourself. And be reminded that you are not being still And that silence has no doer, no achiever. It is already so. You are in this body, but you are not a prisoner inside this body. This is our vehicle. Don't worry for that. Rest as you are now. Now, pay attention. This is not your experience, someone's experience. You are the experience itself. And this is a very unusual thing to be saying, because when we are in the state of personhood, we are naturally in a state of duality. So we feel we must be doing something. Whatever you feel, you're doing it. But now, as we're here, you can see that even my words are rising as a movement in the immensity of your stillness and the aliveness of being. So sometimes even you may feel some sense of distractedness or tiredness or something. Be aware of these. The awareness itself is not tired. The awareness is not drifting. The awareness and self are one. How many have longed for and are presently seeking to find this peace? We imagine that the self comes and goes, or the peace, the space, and the joy comes and goes. But we only experience these states when we are distracted from this which simply is. Knowing this automatically bless every aspect of your expression. Will carry this silence, this depth, this peace inside it and behind it. You know this. The thought may come, but how can I, whenever I get into my activities, I lose this? That is imagination. That is not true. You are sooner to lose the sense of yourself than to lose the truth of yourself. So meditation, prayer, contemplations are only to break the hold of distractedness from this, one's natural state. And your absorption in this is a continuing and continual process by grace, not merely by human effort. Accept this. What joy to share in this way, because the feedback energetically that I'm experiencing from you is that my guidance and words are flowing very smoothly inside your being. They point to that which you can now be effortlessly aware of. I say effortlessly because sometimes in the mind we feel we must make effort, but effort is made only when we are in the state of distractedness, when we are in some way honoring the sense of personhood which is inclined naturally to feel separated from its source, from the God Self. But now you're here. There's nothing to hold on to. And there's no need. Simply pay attention. This, the Self, the very root and ground of being, is effortless and natural. And of course, you're not being guided to be sitting in some comfortable chair throughout your life. But now this moment is supremely important that you register, discover, confirm. The unchangingness of your true nature. Wherever you go, wherever this body go, the body is not carrying the being. In fact, it is the being that carries the body. These things that I share with you are becoming more and more natural in your knowing. Again, be reminded that I'm not pointing you to some event to anticipate something in future. No, now. And now that is beyond time. Who would understand such a thing? Understanding itself is revealed in you. My very saying is already about what is already so. Now being acknowledged, recognized, confirmed. Honor this confirmation. You will find yourself increasingly attracted to it. The more you sit like this, remember and recognize that non-dual self, the more you do this, the more you'll find the naturalness and the ease of being. And you'll fall in love. A love that saves us from death. Death meaning what? Being unconscious of ourselves is a kind of death. Now there's two things that sometimes happen when we sit like this in such a concentrated way. Either the feeling to go to sleep, or the recognition of the total awakeness of it. That there is here an aliveness beyond the conditions of sleeping and waking. It also permits sleeping, wakefulness, activities to flow. The truth is not against activity, but the activities of life, lived without conscious awareness of their source, amounts to some aggressiveness, resistance, fear, struggle. But not now. You're here, in the heart of the heart itself. There's no particular posture that you must sit in or move about in. Simply give some time of your day to sitting, looking, clarifying your being. And you'll see that this will flow throughout all your expressions throughout the day. It will not diminish. It will not weaken. On the contrary, be getting stronger and stronger. But without force, without aggression, just through your acceptance, surrender, love, washes away. It washes away this distractedness, fear, personhood. Again, look, you're here, still, but not waiting. You're not here because you're not moving. You will soon see that movement does not interfere, does not obstruct the self. Nothing can obstruct the self. But because we have been experiencing the condition we call spiritual sleep, meaning unaware of ourself, or being aware of ourself only at the body-mind level, then these words may seem radical, strange for someone hearing for the first time. But also be aware of the space inside my words. Be aware of the meaning of my words, but also the space in which they arise and in which they point. They're resting in. They're rising out of this immensity of peace and this natural, effortless, before and beyond beginnings or endings. Even to say now, to be aware of personal identity, the being is not wanting to look at that. It is so small a matter. The sense of a personal identity has grown only by not paying attention to ourselves. You're here. This peace is the peace of Christ. It is the love of Christ, the love of God. It comes from the Christ of God and the God of Christ. It is our fundamental and essential being. It is not a gift. You may receive the grace of seeing as a gift. Yourself you cannot receive. Presently, our sense of identity is merging more and more into its very root, the very ground of being. When we have spent a lot of time in the state of distractedness, it will feel difficult to even hear my words because there's some carnal resistance in the mind for some. But I feel in the vast majority you're in your natural element, but the self is not an element. There are no words for you. For now, watch the sense, I am. It is good enough. And don't let it be attached to any condition or intention. Even through this door of I am, behind the very door of I am is the infinite self. I am not going to point to any location. There are none. Let's take a few moments in this wordless silence. Actually, my words come from this wordless place. This that is here, it is not a doing. Some effort had to be made in the beginning to bring the attention to its own source. This you must do. And abide in the source until it becomes effortless. Again, pay attention to this natural silence and stillness, this formless stillness in you. Notice there's neither waiting nor expecting. It is complete in itself. It has come to satisfy all longings, all yearning. Like this, the distracted tendencies of the mind will subside, if not already. This is the peace that it is written in the Bible, the peace that surpasses even understanding. For some people, so powerful it is experienced that for some time they're not even able to move. The body becomes very, very heavy almost with peace. For others, everything becomes as light as a feather, as light as air. Do not identify with any shape, however beautiful. Remain as you are. Christ himself said, "My peace I give to you." Though the peace was already in the ones who would receive it, they had no access because their being was filled with the noise of the mind and personhood. So this was the darshan of Jesus himself, because his power could convey, could light up the being in each of us who accepted him, who had faith in him. This peace you have not imagined, you have not created. The uncreated self limitless, unchanging, uncreated, unborn, imperishable, blissful, content, everlasting, perfect. This is the authentic yearning in human beings. This is what it means to come home. And by being home in your realization, great light flows into the world. And peace and harmony. If you feel a burning within yourself or any strong energies, accept now this is also grace from God. Do not give it to the mind to interpret or to analyze. Simply receive the gift of your own self, the God self, awakening in you as you in search of its own permanence and complete rest. This is the discovery. Wherever you may go, whatever you do, remember this. Be one with this. Make it your own. This is to love and to honor God. This is the presence of the living Christ. This is the fulfillment of human life. And it will guide and educate you from within. It will make your being sweet and kind and patient and honoring and just and faithful and true. And this is called winning yourself back. To awaken from delusion, illusion. Stay with it. Om. Before we close today, I ask one thing now. Whatever may be stirring inside your being or your mind, let go of it. Surrender it all into the God Self. Be entirely empty. Think no more.